Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, I wish I knew what they really meant? Maybe someone told you, I'm fine, but their tone said something completely different. Or maybe you sensed tension, but couldn't quite put your finger on why. The truth is that most people only listen to the words others say, but mindful communicators listen for something deeper. What's happening between the words? In this video, I'll show you how to understand what people aren't saying, so you can respond with clarity, empathy, and confidence. Because once you learn this, you'll stop guessing people's emotions and start connecting with their truth. In these two videos, we explored how to help people open up and how to keep them talking once they do. But what happens when their words say one thing and their body or tone says another? That's where emotional intelligence comes in. Because understanding what other people aren't saying is about more than reading minds. It's about paying attention to the quiet signals that reveal what's really going on. When you learn to notice what most people overlook, conversations change completely. You stop getting lost in the surface details and start seeing the emotions, intentions, and meaning beneath them. And that's the skill that separates ordinary communication from real connection. So how do you do it? How do you recognize what someone truly means when they're not saying it out loud? Let's break this down into 4 simple techniques you can start using right away. The first technique is to listen for emotional keywords. When people speak, their emotions often hide inside their word choices. Listen for softeners or hedges like maybe, I guess, it's fine, or I don't know. These phrases are small, but they signal hesitation, uncertainty, or even emotional withdrawal. When you hear them, don't ignore them. Respond gently to the emotion beneath the words. For example, if someone says, I guess it's okay, it's not a big deal, you might say, it sounds like it might still be bothering you a little. That simple acknowledgement tells them it's safe to be honest, because when you name the emotion they're avoiding, you give them permission to share it. But words are only part of the story. Sometimes the truth doesn't hide in what's said, it hides in how it's said. And that's where your next level of awareness comes in. The second technique is to notice contradictions between words and tone. Words tell you what someone wants to say. Tone tells you what they feel. When those two don't match, believe the tone. For instance, someone might say, I'm happy for you, but their voice tightened ever so slightly. That tiny shift often reveals mixed emotions, jealousy, sadness, or disappointment that they don't want to show. Instead of pretending not to notice, acknowledge the contrast with empathy. Try saying, that sounds a little bittersweet for you. You're not accusing them. You're validating what they feel but couldn't say out loud. And that's where real connection begins. If tone gives you a clue, the body often confirms it. If you're someone who values awareness, who wants to understand people, not just respond to them, you'll feel right at home here. That's what the mindful communication revolution is all about. Because sometimes what people don't say with words, they say with posture, expression, or even silence. That's your next signal to pay attention to. The third technique is to pay attention to nonverbal alignment. Communication doesn't stop at words. Body language, eye contact, and even breathing all speak volumes. If someone says, I'm fine, but they cross their arms, avoid eye contact, or lean away, their body is saying the opposite. Instead of confronting them, use an observational approach. Say, you seem a little distant right now. Is everything okay? It's non-judgmental, it's caring, and it opens the door for honesty. When your words and presence align with empathy, people feel it, and they naturally let down their guard. But what if you sense something's off and you're not completely sure? You don't want to accuse, and you don't want to guess wrong. That's when you use a technique that balances intuition with empathy. The fourth technique, use reflective clarifiers. When you sense something unspoken, don't push, clarify. Reflective clarifiers help you test your intuition without making the other person feel exposed. You might say, you said you're fine, but I feel like there's more to it. Am I right? Or, I might be reading this wrong, but you seem quieter than usual. How are you feeling? This approach balances curiosity with respect. It's not interrogation, it's emotional awareness. And when you speak this way, people start to truly feel seen, not analyzed, but understood. Here's a quick example. One of my students once told me she could finally tell when her coworkers meant yes, but felt no. That awareness changed everything about how she communicated. She stopped reacting to what people said and started responding to what they meant. And because of that, conflicts at work dropped and trust skyrocketed. These 4 techniques aren't just about understanding others. They're about transforming how you listen. Because when you learn to slow down and tune in beneath the surface, you start to notice things most people completely miss. And that's where the real depth of communication begins. When you learn to hear what isn't said, conversations become richer and more real. You begin to notice tone, posture, pace, all the subtle signals that reveal someone's emotional truth. And that's when communication becomes connection. Because words are only half the story. The other half is how those words are delivered and how they make someone feel. When you understand both, you don't just listen. You connect on a deeper, more human level. You become someone people trust, not because you have the right answers, but because you notice what others miss. When you learn to hear what isn't said, you gain a kind of emotional clarity most people never reach. You can see tension before it turns into conflict and empathy before it needs to be explained. But here's the thing. Awareness is powerful, and not everyone uses it the right way. Some people take those same communication skills and twist them to control conversations, to guilt others, or to get what they want. That's what we're going to explore next. What happens when someone uses your communication skills against you, and how to protect your calm without losing your compassion. Watch the next video in this series, When Someone Uses Your Communication Skills Against You. It's a powerful reminder that mindful communication isn't just about understanding. It's about protecting your peace too. Together, these skills form the foundation of mindful communication. Knowing how to open the doors, how to keep them open, and how to truly understand what's happening inside.